Good afternoon, everyone, and hello, Ritushree. We welcome you on board. It's a pleasure for us to be speaking with you. And first of all, a very happy Pride Month to all the viewers watching and to you, Ritushree.
Happy Pride and thanks for inviting me to have a discussion on Pride Month. And I love the background of you with rainbow and everything. And it's June. Let's paint the world rainbow. Yeah.
Thank
And
you
not
so
only
much.
June, for
Yeah.
entire year, every day, let's paint the
Yeah, I mean,
world
it shouldn't be
rainbow.
something that should be very strict to the month of June. It's a celebratory moment that should be, on every schemes and on every mind of the person. So very rightly said that it shouldn't be just restricted to June. So today's interaction, first of all, I would want everyone to know who Ritushree is. Ritushree Panigrahi, she's the co-founder and DNI lead Outcast Collective, a practicing lawyer and a stand-up comedian. So again, I welcome you, Ritushree. It'll be a pleasure for us to be speaking with you. First of
Pleasure
all,
is all mine and thank you.
I want to begin with your story. It is very important for people to know what was your coming out story. How did you come out into being, first of all, accepting who you are and then making people realize that you're very comfortable in who you are. So we would really like to know what's your coming out story.
Now, when someone says that coming out and then people ask, yeah, what was your coming out story? How did you come out to your family and friends? But the first coming out, the major one is coming out to yourself, accepting that you are okay, you are beautiful, you are a good soul, and that is nothing wrong in you. What society is saying, this is not a phase. Now, with me, what happened is I grew up in a very small town of Odisha, and back in 90s, there was no internet or nothing. And since childhood, I was not that little boy who would enjoy playing outdoor games and all that. I was
Mm-hmm.
very happy playing with my dogs and my wearing dresses of my sister and everything. But as I grew up, I became older. Then family and friends, they started saying you shouldn't do this, you should not sit like this or talk like this or something. So I started fitting into those narratives of masculinity in the society, that
Okay.
if you are born with this genitals and this body, you should behave like that. So I started like that, but deep down I knew something is like completely wrong. Like, this is not my body. I'm someone else. It took me a lot of time to realize who I am,
Okay.
because we never had this education thing about sexuality and gender. So I was like, I was very confused. Like, okay, I like boys. That means I am um, gay, but I
Mm-hmm.
never see myself as a man. So maybe I'm a woman. But society always teaches you, okay, transgender persons are basically intersex. They don't know intersex, so they say, like, I'm not intersex, then how can I be a transgender woman and all those things? And a lot of things was going on in my mind. And then when I started studying law, I moved to Bhubaneswar and I, studied law. And there I got the access to internet and I started reading it. And then I came to know that, okay, this is me. I'm a transgender woman. And then another thing came out that, society always make this whole thing, stigma thing, that you feel the guilt. So I was not going out anywhere and I used to dress up in my room. The moment I started earning, I rented out a home for myself. And then I tried to contact few therapists for my, all the questions I have, but it was a bizarre experience. Then in
Okay.
what was happening back then was I would dress up in my closed door. I would enjoy. I would click photos, and then after 6 7 months of a year, I would feel like I'm doing something wrong. Because this is not what society accepts from me, and I was not that strong back then to tell the society I don't care for you. So what I would do, that I would throw away all my stuff, dress, makeup, everything. And after 3 months, I would again realize no, this is not a phase, this is me, and I will do. So it was going on, repeat, buy, dress up, enjoy, throw away, stay for 3 months. Then in 2019, I got a job from Ahmedabad, so I moved there. And the first
Okay.
thing I did was I made a promise to myself that I'm not going to dress up anymore. This is a phase. This is a phase. This is a phase. And I moved there. And after 1 month, I bought a whole wardrobe of dresses, makeup, and everything. It was like I cannot live without it. And that time my family started, putting pressure for getting married and everything. And I thought that I should get married because once I get married, this phase will phase out. Because what was also happening with me was like I was attracted to men
Okay.
and I was also very much emotionally attracted to women. So I
Okay.
was very confused. So I thought this might be a phase or something else.
Okay.
So I said I will marry, and my family went to see the girl. They liked it, and then they said, "Ki, you now go and meet her." And by that time, I got panic attacks. Like I started thinking that I'm killing someone within me. I'm killing Ritushree or something. I got panic attack. I went into depression, and it was like a hell going on in my life. Then I called my family and I said, "Listen, I just need 1 month time before I figure it out." And then I started my therapy. And my therapist said, "Okay, do one thing. First, tell your family that you are not ready for marriage. You are figuring out." And I told them. And the second part was like, uh, who am I? Because there are many colors in rainbow, right? Gay, lesbian, and pansexual, everything, transgender or cross-dresser. So I was never been out once, except once. I have never been out in public as a woman. So my therapist said, Ki, you should, explore yourself. So I
Okay.
was very scared to explore myself in Ahmedabad. So it was during Pride Parade, Delhi. I went there a day before, and on the day of Pride Parade, I just put up my makeup, wig, and everything, and I traveled half an hour from my hotel to that place where the Pride Parade was starting, and I was very scared. I was very scared, like, what is happening? Am I doing right or wrong? Or what is... And then when the cab stopped there, I stepped out and I just saw what was going on around me as Ritushree. At time, I felt a peace within myself, like a peace I never felt in my entire life. And that was the time I came to know that yes, this is me. This is not a phase. This is who I am. And then slowly, gradually, I came out to my family. They were very supportive. My sisters are like, they in fact, like when I came out to them, I showed them my photos. They in fact started abusing me, not for who I am, but saying that, why didn't you tell us and suffer this pain for so long? You could have told us, and we hugged and we cried, and they became my constant support. My friends, who are my co-founder in the Outcast Collective, I'm very fortunate that, before becoming co-founder, we were very good friends, and they helped me a lot in coming out. And all the friends, even in comedy, I got like the support I never thought. So I'm one of the luckiest person who got a bunch of support system who helped me a lot. And then
Wow.
gradually I started reading and studying. And then I, understood that first what was happening with me is I'm a transgender woman. How can I be, interested in a woman? That's not how things work. But then slowly and gradually, I said, okay, my gender is I'm a transgender woman. My sexuality is pansexual. So I'm attracted. So these things gradually happens. And coming out to myself was very difficult. It took years. But coming out to family, friends, it was like everyone was like, okay, we are so cool. And I was like, when I came out to my sisters and they hugged me and cried and said, why did you say this, before years and everything? And I said, I prepared a long speech, a 2 hour session just to, convince you, but you ruined every effort of mine that I just came to you and said that I'm a transgender woman. And before that, I told them I'm queer. So they were like, "Can we see your photos?" And I saw them, showed them my Instagram, and they were like, "Oh my god!" And then I had a white sari photo, and both my sister like sent it to our WhatsApp because you are looking like mom. We lost my mom when I was 18. So they were like, "This is the photo where you are looking like mom," and they both had that photo in their phones, and it was great. I prepared how I will come out to friends. I will say this. They will. It never happened with me. Everyone was so chill. The most problematic way was coming out to myself. And one thing
But do
I
you think
realized
coming out in
that
such a time while there is a lot of awareness today was something that made a difference and that you did not face any sort of very uh, notable struggle in coming out? Yes, it was must be difficult, first of all accepting yourself, but then making your parents accept. Do you think that you've come out at a time wherein there is much of awareness and awareness has actually helped you ease in the process?
so this like me and my elder sister talked when she said ki, why did you come out before? And I was like, I was afraid. I was too much afraid. And she also said ki, maybe before 10 years, if you have said us, we would not have understood you. But the one thing I first, came out to my elder sister was she's a constant support. Like I saw her like whenever this TV or something happens, she is very concerned about LGBTQIA people, and I like,
Okay.
okay, so this is the soft target. Let's hit her and then see the other reactions. But everyone was like, we, no matter what is your gender, we are happy. Excuse me.
No problem.
If you are happy and we are proud of you, and yeah, maybe because there's a lot of awareness nowadays that help a lot. But also
Yes.
I sometimes think that I afraid a lot what will my family think, because most of the trans person have come out to their family and they've been thrown out of it. So I was having this fear. um so I never came out, but I also feel like that maybe if 10 years before I would have come out to them, and they might have taken me as in love like they did now, and I would have not lost 10 years of my life thinking that what how I will come out to my family. So there is two way of thinking it, and I just don't put much thinking on that because I'm happy whatever happened.
Well, that's very inspiring, Ritushree, to hear that while you had such amount of stigma attached in your head that you had to prepare a speech on how you were supposed to come out, but then yes, I would believe that today's awareness and the talks about LGBTQ segment that we do has actually awakened the process wherein people are trying to be more acceptable. See, it's not a change that's going to happen overnight, and we all agree to it.
Exactly.
It is a movement that has started a few years back, and people from your segment are still struggling to come out and still in that decisive phase wherein they're still making that list of making that speech of how they are, trying to come out thinking what will people think, what will society think. But I feel today the society is a bit more, modest in this approach, and they're pretty. I wouldn't say fully, but to an extent, to some amount, they're actually welcoming. Now that you've also told
Yes,
us
and
that you've been, please.
another thing is, mostly I've seen this in during Pride Month. uh, we put a lot of pressure on queer people who are in closet to come out. But we forget that, every individual has their own journey, their own environment. Everyone is different from each other. And coming out is a very personal decision. One has to take it.
Exactly.
Like, if they want, they want to. If they don't, that doesn't, if they are not coming out, that doesn't make them less queer.
Mhm.
They are queer, they are beautiful. So everyone has to, take time, think about it, look at the environment, and yeah, that's it.
I
Awareness
completely
is
agree to it. It's
helping
very
a
personal.
lot.
There are a lot many people who still want to continue being in that closet and they're pretty happy in their own zone. Uh, Now, considering Ritushree, you've also told us that you've been a practicing lawyer for over a decade. How was it your experience of, that was a workplace, that was a worship place for you while you were practicing law. Now, legalities in our country, we do have a set of, a forum wherein we have to follow these policies, but to an extent, not all have been followed till now. What has been your experience of working as a trans professional into any court space or any workspace? How welcoming was your workspace to you?
So first of all, I left my practice, moved to a corporate job, and then I came out because judiciary is apart from Supreme Court or some high so cities, high court like Bombay or anything else. Rest of the places are still very conservative. I would not say queerphobic, but it is not also very welcoming for cisgender women also. You know how it is there, the patriarchy and all those things, and you have seen that a statement made by Bar Council of India during this um same-sex marriage petition. So it was not at all welcoming. So I lived a constant fear that what if people will get to know about myself. Then when I moved to the corporate and I started my journey of coming out, I didn't came out in my workplace because it was not that much inclusive and all. The thing is, I'm telling you a story, just a simple story. When I moved to Bombay, I tried looking for a house where I can be myself with my gender identity. And 30, around 30, society and, this um, house owner, they refused me to rent a house because of my gender identity. At that time, I was having a like high seven-figure salary CTC. I was working in a very good banking organization and a top post like the vice president and all, but still they refused me. And the thing is, people do not understand. They have this all the stigma and discrimination about people who are just different from them, be it in sexuality or gender identity or caste or color, be it whatever. And it is a long journey. It will, as you said, that overnight it will not get solved because there are many stories where, like, you can just search the internet and you will find that how the hotel and restaurants, they refuse entry to queer people or trans people, or how they don't get jobs and all that. If you see that
Mm-hmm.
in 2018 only the same sex relationship was decriminalized. In 2014, Nalsa judgment, Supreme Court recognized the third gender, the transgender person's identity. In 2019, we got the Transgender Protection Act, but still, we see a lot of companies going for diversity and inclusion. But if you just count them, they are just like maybe 1% of all the workplaces in India. So it is kind of heartbreaking that yes, we one at one point you think that yes, we are making progress, but on the other hand, you will see that we need to do a lot of work in this segment because discrimination is always there. People just do not. If you remember, during the COVID vaccine thing, trans people were the last to get vaccinated, and it happened only after some people started making a campaign. So people are not getting the basic healthcare.
Okay.
How will you expect, overnight things will change? Discrimination is always there. People just see you and they like, we don't want to talk to you or something like that. I have faced
In
a
your
lot
in
of
your
things.
opinion, Ritushree, what kind of training or education do you think is beneficial for colleagues or managers or for people to understand and support queer individuals in workplace? Like you said, basic medical assurance was something that wasn't, acceptable in first place for people from the trans community. That should be, so healthcare is something that should be a basic right of all the individuals, not basis somebody's sexual preferences. So what in your view can be the training and education? What kind of training and education, would be beneficial?
Now, I would say that if you go to any workplace, you will see people in their 30s, most of them. If you say 90% of the workplace will be 30 plus. And now all of them has this unconscious biasness of 30 years. You will need to erase it. It is not a very easy thing. Now, what companies do is like they just have a set of workshop. They
Mhm.
go, they show them the slides, and that's it. But this is what you said. This is what we made sure when we built the Outcast Collective. That wherever we are going to work with any company, we are not going to give them a la carte workshop or training session. We will solve their issue. So whenever we go to any company, working with the company, we never say that we will do workshop for you. What we say is we'll solve your issues because this is an environment. See, this is a culture. D&I is not an making the inclusive work place is not a policy thing. It's a cultural thing. So what we do, our approach is we do a climate survey. We just talk to employees, know their, how on which ladder steps they are in this journey of inclusion, and then we customize that. First thing is we do is we just break their unconscious biasness before doing anything, and we'll spend a lot of time on that.
Okay.
Once it is gone, then we come to this whole gender and sexuality and everything, because you cannot go to someone and start talking about gender, sexuality, and everything without erasing all the unconscious biasness from them. So the what I would suggest for every company is, first of all, if you go to someone and talk about inclusion without knowing that person, whether it will be like you are pouring tea in a cup full of tea. It will just overflow. So first of all, go to your employees, talk to them, learn about them, then build a program structure, entire. Then know whether your office culture is changing. And
Okay.
then once you provide all these things, you made it a routine, a culture of celebrating everyone's individuality, not only from the queer community, but everyone's individuality. Then you will see that it will be a safe place. People who are working there, they will come out. People from outside, they will apply for jobs. It's very simple. See, the thing is, inclusion for any of any group is not at all a difficult thing if you have this one word with you, and that is empathy. If you have empathy in your workplace, everything will fall in place.
So when you talked about, we should not just imbibe onto the policies and the frameworks that have been laid, you should go and talk to these individuals. In your view, considering that, you are a professional from legal background, so are there any specific policies or practices that you believe should be implemented or revised to better accommodate and support queer individuals?
Yeah, there are like first of all is inclusive policies, like for healthcare. uh, don't use a spouse or anything. You give them for the same-sex partners and all those things. Then provide health care benefit for trans person who are going through their transition. Uh, then help them in documentation, because most of the trans and non-binary person, they just go from their legal name to their preferred name, their chosen name. So all those things inclusive. And then another thing is gender neutral and inclusive sexual harassment policies. These are the basic things. don't push for dress code in office,
Okay.
because uh, once you force a dress code, that means you want to see certain people in a certain way. Just don't do that. So there are many things as per regulation. The POSH Act is there, the Transgender Protection Right Act is there, the PWD Act is there, and everything is there. You just need to frame a policy of work culture where everyone will be included. That is called inclusive work policies. And first thing first is, medical benefits. That is the basic of everything.
Ritushree, from your experience, have you faced any concerns or challenges, anticipating facing as a queer individual at your workplace? And how can you explain that, how can organizations address or mitigate these concerns?
Now, being a queer person, yes, in my previous organizations, when I was coming out, I had faced I was reading a book of Parmesh Shah once,
Okay.
like in office, and my immediate senior came, and my book was there, and the first chapter of the book called "I'm Gay because because BBC is saying so." So he just opened the book, and the first thing I'm gay, like, "Chi," and he just dropped it, and I felt like, okay, this place is not ready. I should not come out. I should hide myself, because the fear that he can do this to a book, he can do anything to me. And then, I was not married, and everyone used to taunt me, like, all those slurs like chaka and all those things. And there was nothing in the workplace to complain, because people think that, this is happy banter and all those things.
It's
And
like
workplace should,
an insult being given an equitable treatment of happy banter at workplace. Something that's an insult to
yeah.
somebody, you
So,
taking it as a joke.
workplace should, companies should, to mitigate these things, they need to sensitize their employees and make the sexual harassment law, rules of the company very stringent. You cannot just throw away random abuses and insult and say, oh, this is a joke. We were just wondering. That doesn't work, because one of a silly
Joke and
joke of you
insult have
might
a very
hurt
thin
someone.
line difference, which needs to be
Yes, very
understood.
thin, very
Yeah.
thin. And that can only be mitigated by constant monitoring, sensitization, and stringent policies, stringent action from HR and everything.
All right, Ritushree. It was a pleasure speaking with you. Thank you so much, first of all, telling us your coming out story, your experiences at workplace, what kind of, welcome people from your community are expecting from workplaces. Sensitization is indeed the need of the hour. I would support that statement in every way possible, because until and unless you do not understand the other person that you're addressing, you do not know what kind of background he or she is coming from, you cannot relate to their problems. So it is a dire need to be humane to this approach, to treat all people, not
Yes,
just people from the trans or the LGBTQ community, be it a man or a woman,
everyone.
or a let's say a physically
Or a
disabled
Dalit,
person.
or a disabled person with
Exactly,
disability, or a neurodivergent person, or a person from, a tribal person from Northeast. They face a lot of stigma and,
exactly,
racial comment.
so they get racial comments, comments like chinky and all. So yes, it is not a joke. It is an insult to somebody. God has made everyone in as different way as possible. That is why we are different in approach, different in thought, different in color. So one, we need to embrace what God has made, and two, we need to be humane towards this approach. And while hiring any individual, skills should be the only top priority, not somebody's sexual preferences, as we discussed in the beginning. You may be from
And
a trans
another thing I
community.
just want to add here, I just
Sure,
want to small thing. Whenever we say that, companies say that we do not discriminate anyone, we hire people based on their skills and their ability. But if you are not sensitized enough, you don't know that your unconscious biasness is playing, in
exactly.
your head, and you are just taking, finding out loopholes and to just reject the
I
candidate.
was talking to Miss Prachi Rastogi, the DNI lead for IBM, and there was a very apt statement she made. Do not hire people from LGBTQ community until and unless you've not sensitized your own employees.
Exactly.
There is no point
Exactly.
making an organization diversity and inclusive if you have people from these segments, but you don't know how to respect them. You don't know how to
Exactly.
include them.
Because
You don't know how to make them your
in that
colleagues.
case, what you are doing, you are hiring someone just for your PR campaign and
Exactly.
then making their life traumatized.
So she truly believes that the trust factor then vanishes. And she said there'll be a time
Yes,
wherein we'll be just holding campaigns and they will not trust organizations. you know. So
exactly.
sensitization is the need of the hour. That's a takeaway that I take from today's discussion. Ritushree, thank you so much for joining us, sharing with us
Thank
your
you. Thank you.
story, giving us anecdotes, giving us even strategies on, how should companies welcome people from the LGBTQ plus community. So I hope all the leaders listening here will be very mindful of the kind of hirings that they're doing and they will sensitize their respective employee base as well. For today, thank you so much, Ritushree, and a very happy Pride Month to you once again.
Thank you. Thanks a lot and happy Pride to you and all your viewers.
Thank you so much, Ritushree.